Hello, I'm Ed Parcaut, the host of Helping the Brave. Let's bring in our new guest today, Adam Peters. How you doing?
Not too bad, brother. How are you?
Good. Before we keep going, you also have a podcast, and it is called.
The strategic veteran.
Yeah, I know, but I wanted you to say it because
Yeah,
it's
of
in your
course.
voice. And I was on it first. Thank you for having me on. I appreciate it, and I'm glad that you were able to come on mine. So let's just get right into it. What service were you in, and why did you choose it?
I was in the Army, and because the Air Force and the Navy told me I'd never be a pilot, and the Marines wouldn't let me pick my job.
So what did you? So you said the Army, right? That's what you said.
Yes, sir.
Okay. What were you? What did you do in the Army?
Infantry guy.
So you couldn't fly anyway.
No, of course not. Wear glasses, man. That was never going to
They
happen.
didn't tell you that. They just said, "Well, we'll see what we can do." Is that what they said?
No, they didn't even do that. They just laughed at me. They were like, ha, 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 so funny. Like, you're never going to be a pilot. Well, the joke's on them because I went to flight school after the Army. So I actually did become a pilot.
Oh, really? Is it different? Civilian world, I assume.
Yes, sir. Yeah. Civilian world, it's not at all what I thought it was going to be. That's why I don't do it anymore.
It wasn't as fun.
No, man, it's a grind, and you just fly circles in a box in the sky, and you do that until you hit the 1,500 hours that Congress has mandated till you can go to the airlines, and I wasn't willing to do that.
Gotcha. All right. So you were infantry in the Army.
Yep.
And how long were you in?
12 and a half years.
And what was your time? I mean, what did you do? So when you're, God, I'm telling you, I've done so many of these today. Not helping the brave, but just talking to people all day long. I lose my train. It's how it is. Things just happen.
Yeah. So to answer your question, I spent the entirety of my career deployed every other year. So I did 4 total deployments for 50 months of combat time, 3 to Iraq, 1 to Afghanistan. The first 3 with the 3rd ID, 2-7 infantry, and the last one was out of Fort Lewis with 1-2-3 infantry.
That's a lot of time being over there.
You're telling me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a long time. Usually that is reserved for the National Guard people.
Well,
I mean,
I got lucky.
I ran into that a lot. I don't know about you interviewing vets, but back east, the National Guard there, it seems like they're over there more than anybody's over there.
There's a lot of guard guys, but I don't come across a lot of guys that have as much combat time as I do. I just had Tom Spooner on my show the other day, a Delta Force guy. He has 12 deployments, and he only got 40 months. So, I don't know how it worked, man. I just got lucky. Dwell time wasn't a thing.
So, I mean, that's a lot of months to be over there. And anything happened to you while you're over there?
I mean, the usual stuff, man. Early on, first deployment, and soft skin Humvee, sandbags for armor, rollover, an IED wouldn't really destroy the Humvee, ring your bell a little bit. Nobody's getting a Purple Heart out of that. Mortar attacks, so many mortars. It just gets to the point where you just kind of, I'll remember like my 4th deployment in Afghanistan. I was sitting there burning our mailboxes, and mortars started coming in, and I didn't move until I felt shrapnel hitting my pants. And I was like, it's probably time to go to the bunker. Firefights, obviously, right? Kicking in doors, doing the thing, everything as an infantry guy that you would expect to experience over 50 months of combat. That's how it went.
That's a lot of months.
It's a long time.
Yeah. I mean, there's gotta be, and please, I know you do a podcast, I assume to help understand other people's stories and have them tell their stories. But also, people have found that when you do your own podcast, it's a healing thing.
Yeah, absolutely. 100%.
Yeah.
It's so cathartic.
Yeah. I mean, is that why you do yours?
Yeah, man. I really created the show as an example of like something that would have helped me when I was in that dark place, just to showcase veteran stories, talk about the transition, their move into entrepreneurship, and just let them be an example that no matter how dark it gets, there's always a way out of that hole. And I think I would have benefited from that when I was in that place if I would have seen something like that. And that's what I try to bring to the audience.
Wow. All I'm thinking about is I think I told you before I did the Operation Firewalk, and we're doing it again May 3rd. You should come out for that.
Yeah, man. I actually had
David on my stage for at least 30 minutes talking about your story and about what why you're working through it. And because I mean, it's important for people to know. I have about 4 people that I want to have on my stage, and then there's 2 other ones who are coming that are, one is 9/11 guy that was the fire chief that was down on the ground that day. He's coming from the people who are doing the actual fire walk. But I wanted to have more veterans talk about, their story and what happened and on the other side. And I have them, but you'd be a good one for that. And then you can talk about your podcast and it would be good to record some of the video for your stuff that you do.
Let's do it, man. Send me the details. I'll be there.
Yeah. May 3rd, 2025, Modesto, California. I'll get to that. Just remember operationfirewalk.com. That's where you'll get all the information. But I'm going to take your information. We'll talk once we're offline. I want to take away from your story.
Of course.
All right. So when you got out, when you were done, were you medically discharged out, or were you just like, I'm done, I'm out of here?
No, man, I was medically retired after 2 shoulder surgeries after the 4th deployment to Afghanistan. Tried to MMRB me. I was on the short list for E7. And I was like, can't be a leader, not a senior non-commissioned officer in a job I've never done. So I was just like, I'm done. I'm not going to be an infantryman anymore. I'm not going to be anything. And I didn't take it well, as you can imagine. 8 years too short. I was a lifer, turned to the bottle like everybody else does. Had my bout with alcohol for about a year. Beat the alcohol and then straight to weed when I was out of the Army, not realizing, intentions matter. And so I would just be high pretty much from about 7 o'clock at night, scrolling YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, whatever, just a miserable wreck of a person trying to figure out what to do with my life.
And how did that change?
Ayahuasca, actually. Heroic Hearts sent me to Peru last year, and that changed everything, man. It really changed everything to the tune of I've started everything that I've built thus far, the paid community, the podcast, the nonprofit work, some other opportunities that I'm not at liberty to discuss right now. Lost 100 pounds, really in touch with who I am, love and respect myself. The list goes on and on and on.
So all right. So let's back the truck up to what you can talk about.
Yeah, man. A lot of the nonprofit work, working with QRFup.org, was the recruiting director, handing that over to a guy who's better suited to do that. Now I'm going to manage the partnerships and aftercare, but this is a really cool opportunity because it fits in line with everything that veterans are trying to do and stop the suicide epidemic. It's a mobile application in your phone, big red button. When you're in crisis, push it, immediately connected to your a licensed healthcare professional in your state who will attempt to de-escalate over the phone. If they determine that they can't, they'll pass the information along to a mobile crisis response team made up of veterans and first responders. They will come to your location because we are geolocated, and they will de-escalate without the involvement of 911. Ran a 25,000 app download pilot in Minnesota from was it like May of last year to early March of this year. 25,000 app downloads, 1,350 lives saved. Only about 5% of them went further into hospitalization or criminal charges. So
wow,
it's pretty cool. And we don't stop there. We partner with a bunch of other people for aftercare. So think outdoor adventure therapy, plant medicine, financial assistance, job placement, housing assistance, stuff like that.
Yeah, so you're the perfect guy to help me with this Operation Firewalk.
Let's do it, man.
I have good people here, but it's not about me. The vision I had was to help every veteran we can, right? Yeah. When I did this last year, 2 days, I said, I want to help. As long as I help one veteran, that's all I care about. I don't care how much we spend. Their life is worth what we spend for this event. We helped out 5, more than that, but I know for a fact 5 personally that had talked to me that had changed their life by coming to this event. Just listening to what people were talking about, and then afterwards walking across coals to get rid of that limiting belief. A lot of people don't understand that's a huge change for people. Yeah. And it really works because, well, if you just keep walking, my wife's like, well, you just got to get at a certain pace. It's not that at all. It's just overcoming the fact that you think you can't do it.
Yeah. Getting out of your own way.
Yeah, exactly. And so it's all about helping veterans. And this thing I would love to grow into what you just were talking about.
It's a monster, man.
Have everything there at the same time to help deal with other things they're dealing with. One of the guys that's coming, he's been fighting with the VA since the 80s, and now he can do anything. And he just helps people. He's not charging people, but he's like, I can make a phone call and they're going to take my call. But I want the VA scrapped. I want it gone and just to give regular insurance and you can take anywhere. at full cut, at 120% payback. So they take it better than Medicare, Medi-Cal, kind of like the Kaiser program. I don't know if you've ever seen Kaiser in California. Their program's amazing. Their insurance company owns hospitals, but just the fact that if they find something, you're there tomorrow.
Yeah.
You can't get in there today instead of, go ahead.
Yeah. Kaiser's good. I had them in Washington State, so I'm familiar, and they own every hospital, all that good stuff.
Because they're an insurance company that owns hospitals, not hospitals that take insurances.
Right.
That's the difference.
Yeah.
And they're about, the faster we get this taken care of, the least we got to spend.
That's true. It's true.
That's what it's about. It's about you get it taken care of now, not later, when now it's going to cost us so much more because we waited on you. Had to get it's not in network. We have to get you transferred over to somebody. No, and they don't have like a specialist at each hospital. They have a hospital that specializes in certain things, so they don't have to have multiple doctors all over in the same area. Okay, you're going here for that, you're going here for that, you're going, that's outside of that. And that's what we need for vets, to not have to be on the stupid waiting list that Trump said, okay, you can go get help everywhere. But this one now is saying, well, you got to get approval first. And that's what's killing it again.
It's so bad. Getting out in Washington, American Lake VA, terrible. Still to this day, 9 years later, waiting for a sleep appointment so I can get supplies for the BiPAP that I'm on, right? Lived in South Carolina, one VA to service the entire state. That was atrocious, waiting 8-9 months for an appointment to anything. It doesn't matter what it is. Florida, however, completely different. The VA here is amazing, but they built an entire city around Lake Nona VA. So kind of different there. The longest I've had to wait is for a dentist appointment, and I get it, right? Like, if there's only so many, usually they just refer me to the community, so it's better. But I hear you, man. Like the VA problem it's a big problem. QRF Up was founded because 988, here's a mind-blowing statistic. They were infused with $700 million of cash in their budget this year. And in August, they still dropped 54,000 calls. It begs the question, like, where's the money going? Because we built the app with no money.
Right. Well, we know where the money's going. It's the politics. They always get all this money, and then it's used to, somebody else gets to use it. It's just like, when we gave all the money that was sent over to the war, there's cash to pay for all these people. Where did it all go?
It's somebody's pocket.
Yeah. Yeah. Somebody higher up that could get it shipped back.
Yeah.
Not you or I. Yeah.
No, definitely not.
Nothing me, because I was never there. So yeah. But I'm just saying, there's so much bureaucracy and so much wasted money, and you can see it. I mean, I'm in California. They spent $10 billion for 1,500 feet of high-speed rail in the middle of freaking nowhere. It's not connected to anything.
I get it, man. When I lived in Washington, they did the same thing with their little rail, and they taxed the people who didn't even have access to it just because they were in the county. And it's like, you built a train to fucking nowhere. Like, come on.
Well, that's where this one is, in the middle of nowhere, and they're going to spend like another $15 million to move this one rail station over so it can connect someday. We're never going to get this connected, so don't stop wasting our money and time. You can put that money together to helping vets and other people so much more than what you're doing.
Yeah, I'm with you, man. I hear you. It's the challenge we face in the work that we're doing for the community that we're doing it for. Like, we're forgotten about, and they don't care.
I'm just glad. I mean, you do it full time. I can't do it full time. I actually have to have a job. So
yeah, I mean,
I don't mean that wrong. I'm just saying you do it full time. And thank you. I get to do it a few hours a week, and that's about it.
Yeah, I was sitting with that the other day, and somebody asked me, "What do you do for fun?" And I was like, "I pretty much just work. I enjoy what I do. I enjoy talking to veterans. I enjoy that light in their eyes that goes off when you just give them a little tool to help their life improve." And I guess by and large, I'm making it my life's work to make the veteran community, the first responder community, a better place.
Right. And that was Operation Firewalk. When I was asked about it, it was all supposed to be for veterans. And then one of the guys said, well, you should do first responders because they need help too, because they're dealing with the same stuff and nobody's helping them. And so we did open it up to that last year for them. And even though I focus on veterans, that's what we're focusing on, they're totally invited also.
Yeah, and the first responder community, until I got involved with QRF Hub, I didn't know how bad they have. It's bad. I think it's even worse than the numbers that veterans are killing themselves. It's just
Really?
not, it's not a good situation, man.
I
It's
didn't
just,
know that.
for lack of a better kind of term or way to explain it, veterans have just been better at marketing it than first responders.
You mean, well, we've been dying forever. That's
Yeah,
the
for
thing.
sure.
Yeah, it has, and that's the difference. And there's more. We've lost more of us since 9/11 than we have in the last 3 wars.
It's so bad.
Yeah.
It's awful when you look at the data. And that's part of what's cool about QRF Up. We're working with Stop Soldier Suicide to actually collect data so that maybe there's a way we can intervene before, because there's some telltale signs like insomnia. I didn't know this until I came on board, but Stop Soldier Suicide found in the data that insomnia really starts to happen about 4 days before a service member will take their life. So if you start seeing social posts about insomnia, I haven't slept the next number of days, it's like a telltale sign something bad's about to happen.
Well, usually nothing good happens when you haven't slept for a few days.
That's true.
I'm just saying there's something definitely wrong if you haven't slept in a few days. Something's
Yeah.
really bothering you. And I think we just, the biggest thing is asking for help, but we're so used to not asking for help once we get out. But when we're in, and I think I said on yours, I said, you'll ask for, if you're getting, firefighting, you're going to ask for air support. So what's the difference? Ask for support.
Yeah, I think it's the culture we all kind of grew up in the military. I watch guys get their careers ruined for asking for help, ship them right out of the army. You know what I mean? And
Right.
and I know that's how I was raised, quote unquote, in the army, was like, suck it up, drive on, take an e-face out, drink water, we'll move on. Compartmentalize it, forget about it. And I'm here to change that, man, because there's a lot of simple things we can do to move past all of that stuff.
I totally agree with you. And thank you so much for what you're doing for veterans. I appreciate it. I mean, because I keep getting your newsletter now weekly, the thing you send out. I was like, wow, he's so much doing everything I want to do.
Well, you're doing some things that I want to do too, man. So maybe we should compare
We should
notes.
talk.
And
We
yeah,
should talk. Yeah. And just join forces any way we can.
well,
Uh,
and that's the only way we make this problem go away, man. Like, I don't look at you as competition. I just look
mm,
at you as collaboration. And if we come together, all of us veterans who have podcasts and platforms and whatever the hell else we have, instead of competing with one another, if we just come together and pool our resources together and our knowledge, we will make so much more of an impact than you or I is going to do it on our own.
Now we should all get a bunch of us together and do a live and talk about what we do in our podcast and why we do it and put it live everywhere.
I think we should do that for sure.
Yeah, because I do a ton of lives, so I'm used to that whole thing.
Oh, I'm moving into the lives. I have a lot of fun with them. They're a lot of fun.
My problem is I used to do this show live, and then people wouldn't show up. It's like, okay, you're a veteran. What the heck is your problem for not showing up when we're live?
Well, and that's been one of the biggest problems with trying to recruit volunteer veterans and first responders for the response team. They're lazy. I don't have time. I got a job and a wife and kids. It's like, literally, when you sign up on the website to volunteer, it asks you what amount of time per week you can give. Like, it's a choice. Like, if it's 5 minutes, it's 5 minutes. We need bodies, man.
Right. But you have to understand, there's people, they gave what they wanted to give and they don't want to give anymore. And that's their choice and their right to do that. And I'm not saying what you're saying, feeling what you're feeling is not justified. I get it, but that's how they're dealing with it. So I don't judge anybody if they don't want to put the time in or whatever, because I get it. Maybe they can't handle it. Maybe they're dealing with something that this was not going to help. Well, they need to understand that they're dealing with something and get help. But you know how it is. People don't usually get help until they've ruined every relationship and they're over 40, and then finally they get help. Is that what happened with you? I'm sorry.
No, I'm not 40 yet. So I did it at 38. I guess I misspoke when I said it. It's people that I would actually talk to
Right.
that would say, yeah, I'm all in on volunteering.
Okay,
And like,
gotcha.
you follow up with them and it's like, hey man, like, I didn't see your name pop up on my spreadsheet. It means you didn't volunteer like you told me you were going to. And I'm with you though. I understand there's people out there who may not be able to handle it and have to learn, for lack of a better term, the hard way, right? Like, I spent 8.5 years in that transition hole, and I was 38 when I came out of it. So damn near 40 before I figured it out and asked for help. And I did largely think that I could do it on my own. And I'm here to tell you, nobody does anything on their own.
No, you need to get help from with somebody. Somebody's out there, and most people, everybody won't judge. People are worried about judging. It's like in my industry, I'm in the mortgage industry. It's like people come to me with these issues. I go, you don't understand. I don't care. If it
Right.
happened to you, it definitely happened to me. So I don't judge. And you never know. Things happen in life. That's just how it is. And you have to work through it and get out on the other side. And when you were talking earlier about, helping vets with business, you got me to think, because I do another podcast called Inner Edison, which is your greatest accomplishments come from your greatest defeats. My helping the brave is almost merging into talking to everybody about everything, not just your service, but where are you now? What are you doing? What does that look like on the other side? So I kind of stole stuff from you. So just so you know,
Well, you can't really steal anything, man. It's just it's out there as an example. I think you know this. We've talked
I was
about it
just kidding
before,
with that
but
stealing. Yeah.
I largely give everything away. You
Yeah.
know,
We have
like yeah. I just like what's the point in hoarding all of this knowledge? If it can help somebody live a better life, then sure. Avoid the same mistakes that I made. Avoid falling into the guru traps and spending a bunch of money you don't need to spend, and really just enjoy your life because at least for me, that's what the brothers and sisters that are no longer with us, either by their own hand or dying in combat, and a lot of them in combat that I knew, a lot of them also took their own lives. Like that's what they'd want, is us to all get along and live the best life we possibly can.
right. And I totally agree. So when I say what I'm saying, don't think it's not against. I'm just joking around. All right.
Yeah, for sure. I
All right.
don't take it personally, man. I
Just
want you
making
to
sure.
steal everything. I want to see people. I'd like to see somebody start something with the same kind of idea in mind that blows mine out of the water. That just means that I gave you a blueprint and you did it better, and I'm cool with that because
Well,
it's
I
all the
think you
same
should
mission.
just grow yours, what you're doing. So one of the things I want to do is my helping the brave was all about just it's a location, right? For well, I want to find out. Well, go to Helping the Brave and have a whole website set up of everything that I've found out that people are looking for and have one place to go to do that. That would be my next step, what I want to do. Because I have one lady who's like, oh, here's everything I found in my state from when I was helping my husband. And she sent me everything. And it's like, wow. So there's a better way to find the information. Also set up through this some type of like a Yelp system, but for vets, like a vets, so-called
Oh,
vets
I
or
like
whatever.
that.
And you rate every company, everybody you deal with, how they are in that, in that system. And that's what I want to do, because there are some companies out there who in my space who, excuse my language, screw you. Oh, they don't care about helping you. They care about their bottom line more than anything else. And they need to be rated by people, because I see their CDs and loan estimates that I see of this. I'm like, you gotta be freaking kidding me. You're charging 2 points for this. And I mean, and that's just my side, but there's so many different ways we could rate these companies, and the rated, having a vet rating system would go, oh, we better raise our numbers and again, do more for vets.
Yeah. Yeah, I know that company you're talking about in your space. I'm fairly certain. That's
There's
why
a
I went
few
and
of them, not just one. There's a few of
yeah, there's a really big one though, I think you're talking about,
them.
right?
Something about day.
Yeah, yeah, that one. Yeah. No, I think that's a good idea, man. There needs to be just
We
a
trust too
data
much. Yeah.
a data repository, and I like the Yelp idea. That's great. Like there's companies out there, Remedical, I'm talking to you, like charging veterans to up their disability rating. Like, guys, don't do that. Like just crawl through the red tape on your own and save yourself the money. Eventually you will get what you want from the VA. It doesn't matter what it is, just play their game. You played it while you were in, play it while you're out to get what you want. Don't pay somebody to do it for you.
Yes, I used to be that way too, but I look at it this way: a lot of vets won't work the thing to get the rating, but if they let somebody else do it for them and they take a percentage, now maybe the percentage needs to be adjusted down, and maybe because you look at attorneys, right? They take 30% or whatever. Some of these companies take 20 or 30. I don't know if they take any more, but of the first check. If these guys weren't going to do it in the first place, then I have no problem with that. Or they're trying to increase their rating and they actually get it for them. I'm okay with that because they won't do it themselves. You follow me?
Yeah,
But
I guess.
there's could be a better way to do it with and not charge as much is what I'm getting at. There could be because I was at an event down in San Diego a couple years ago, and they had somebody on stage talking about, oh, this is what they're amazing what they're doing. Oh, and they're charging vets to do their disability. I'm like, that's ridiculous that they're charging 30% for that first check to get that. But then I got to a point where I started thinking about what these vets are doing and were they doing it themselves at all? No. A lot of us went to DAV, right? Disabled American Veterans or whatever. And they helped just when we got out. And did it do a good job? Not necessarily, did they? But then to jump through the hoops ourselves, it's people have other things. So if they can get it and they lose part of their first check they weren't going to get in the first place, what's the big deal?
I guess from that perspective, that's fair, but I did some stuff on my own and it really wasn't that hard. It was just playing the game. So I guess I have a different perspective. I don't know. I still think it's a little ridiculous. It's a little predatory to charge that kind of money on, something that by all means you're entitled to. But I see where you're coming from, because if they
I'm
weren't going to do it on their own, then yeah, maybe that's why these places exist.
right, they do. But I'm saying is there could be one done better
Yeah.
and not charge as much. And that is the one that okay, well, if you had a place like Helping the Brave where they go to, oh, help increase your disability through these 5 different companies. This one is a freaking negative, you know what I mean? It's a
Yeah.
1, 3,
Yeah.
and 5 and whatever. You would then have competition between them to lower their costs.
For sure.
That's
No,
what
that makes a lot of sense. I mean,
that's
you could probably even just start a nonprofit, get a bunch of donations, and blow them all out of the water.
You can, because I also have a Brave Help besides Helping the Brave. So that was going to be the nonprofit to do stuff.
Dude,
But my whole
you're into so much. Like, how
Well,
do you
the
keep
problem
up
is
with
I
this
don't have
stuff?
the time. I have these ideas. So there's builders and there's innovators. I come up with the idea. I'm an ideal guy, and I know how to put it together, but I can't build it. I'm not a builder. I need to find a builder. And it sounds to me like you're the builder.
Oh man, I'm building so many damn things right now. I don't know if I have more time to build more
I'm just
things.
saying, but you are a builder, right? That's what
Yeah.
so I've been listening to a lot of, been doing a lot of walking because I dropped 50 pounds since I've been on your podcast.
Really?
Yeah,
Congratulations, brother.
thanks. I gained a lot my year as my president of Rotary because it was just constantly drinking and all this other stuff we were doing. You know what I mean? You're out at events and stuff all the time and eating a lot, and I didn't keep track of it, and I got pretty heavy. And so I've been walking a lot part of this. Besides, I normally always lifted, but it was just walking is what got me to lose this weight.
That's how I
And
lost my weight.
through that, I've been listening to so many different books and that's why people just go walk, put your headphones in. I almost said put them on. Put your little ear things in and listen to different podcasts, whatever, to get thinking about different things and growing. Find your purpose. If we don't have a purpose, this goes all the way down to our kids, and especially the young men today. Young men today have no purpose. And especially if you're a white young kid, you go somewhere, they're like, oh, you're the problem, blah, blah, blah. And I'm not trying to get, talk about
Yeah.
race and all that. I'm just saying that's unfortunate right now. And so they need a purpose more than anybody else. And that's what the military does for people, is give them a purpose. And a lot of times that's what they go into. Then we get out of the military, we lost our purpose.
Mhm.
And we need to find it. You didn't have a purpose when you got out because everything was taken from you. And until you found your purpose after everything you went through, and that's why a lot of people are like, well, I don't think you should do pot. I don't think you should do wise. I don't judge. I don't care what works for you. As long as you go and something works for you, you tried everything. I don't care what it is. Go do it. That's why I don't like what the VA does. You try that stuff and you're no longer. No, if it worked for them and that stuff that you're pushing doesn't, you're wrong.
Yeah.
Not them.
100%, man. Yeah. Yeah. I'm with you. We're on the same page. Like, there are more than one way to skin this cat. And whatever that modality that you choose that worked for you, I'm happy for you.
Yeah, whatever it is. I mean, problem I have with pot is it just stinks so bad. And I have to smell it after you've done it. No, move on to something else, will you? Yeah. It's freaking stinkweed, dude. It's not even, and I've never done pot. It just hasn't been my thing. And I can't stand the smell of it.
Hey, that's fair. I largely don't smoke flower, but the vape, so it doesn't smell as bad, And I keep it like, I'm very like, kind of structured about how I do it. It's never before 8 o'clock at night. It's always the last thing I do at night. I always intend to work on myself when I do it versus before it was an escape. It was probably 5 or 6 o'clock in the afternoon for the rest of the night. Like now it's just a couple of hours. Sometimes it really helps me sleep, like whatever, intentions matter. That's the point of that whole thing. And if it's not for you, it's not for you, like could I get by without it? Yeah, I'm sure I could. But would I do as much deep work on myself? Probably not.
What again? No judgment. Whatever works for you, works for you. I like having a margarita occasionally. That's my thing. All right. And it's not even like so you can see my margarita, it's a glass full of ice, and I just put a little bit in there, and so it's probably a quarter, of a normal glass of margarita. And it's just perfect. It's just the taste. I'm not looking to get buzzed. I'm not looking to get it. I just like the taste of it and move on.
Yeah, fair enough, man. Tequila, that touches my lips and we got problems. So we'll stay away from that.
No, but I mean, I exercise a lot now and a couple hours a day, every day. And it's, luckily I have my garage turned into a huge gym. I've been there for a while, but we were able to get it re-cleaned up so I can get back out there, and we're getting cooler again. So, it's much easier.
Were you surprised at how beneficial walking has been for you?
No, because I used to do, I knew because of walking, the way it's more fat burning. And then if you ran, it's more cardio. And I didn't need to get rid of carbs. I need to get rid of fat. And so, but overall, just the fact that I'm able to walk and listen at the same time to do stuff, there's so much, it just, for me, because that's a twofer. I can do two things at once.
Yeah.
I'm one of those multitaskers. I have multiple screens up on my computer and a TV running over here on another screen. So and I could actually have music playing, and I could hear that too if I needed to. But I'm one of those guys who can deal with all that chaos. Other people can't. My wife can't. It's like she's trying to do something, to say something. Don't talk to me, right? I'm trying to get this finished. It's like, what, you can't do two things at once?
I can't. I'm very much that way. You just said way too many things going on. I'd be no, but I do accomplish the same thing you do, walking and listening to podcasts or books, or even just turn on some kind of relaxing music so I can explore and deal with the shit that's going on in my head. Like, I think that's an important aspect of it too. Sometimes I won't even wear headphones. I'll just listen to nature and be present. That's even more fun.
Yeah, well, I would, but then I have to deal with all the homeless people.
Ooh, sorry, buddy. I'm sorry, but I'm sorry, buddy.
So I'm walking on the thing. It's not so bad, but then, if they don't know you, so I'll have headphones in, whether I can hear them, but I just keep walking. They're like, they'll say something like, "Hey, I was about," and you just keep walking, and it's like, but if I didn't have them in, why, I'm not good enough for you to talk to me, that kind of stuff. At least the other way, they think I can't hear them.
Right. I just look at them and pretend to sign at them like I don't hear you. Like, that could work.
Yeah, I mean, so I'm in Modesto, California. Our sheriff is totally for us to have concealed weapons permit. So we have like in our 15,000 in our area concealed weapons permit. So we don't have the crime like other counties around us have, because they know that our sheriff cares about us, and we have multiple, concealed weapons permit. You go over to San Jose, or that's why they have Sacramento County and those other counties. They have more crime because they don't have that. They're anti those things. And good. You keep doing anti, and they can keep going over there to you guys.
Right. So. Right. We'll stay safe over here in Modesto.
Yeah, so when I say homeless, we have some, but we don't have it like you've seen on TV, back, especially down in Southern California, Oceanside, where outside of Camp Pendleton, that where, it just used to be nice. And then you just see rows of homeless things.
Yeah, they did that in Washington and Portland area when I was leaving that side of the country. And I was just like, man, this sucks, dude. Like, I was just in Washington a couple weeks ago, and it's the same. They don't have the crime, but it's just tent city after tent city along main roads. You see it from I-90 or I-5, in the corridor. And it's just like, what are we doing, guys? Like, this is not okay. This is not, like, there's got to be a better way. Like, I'm not saying I have the answers either, but like, also giving them free needles is not the answer.
No. Or not moving them along when they need to be moved along. So we kicked them out of parks and put them in one location, and then they finally, had to move out of the location. It took 30 dump trucks to get rid of the trash that was there. after 3 months because they just bring everything and tear it apart and leave the trash. And that's the problem. And I'm not, and I'm not trying to be, don't send me emails saying that I'm insensitive. I'm not saying that at all. But there's a reason that people have homelessness more in other areas because of the services you give them. That's why the people who don't give any services are like, ha, 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 they come to you. We're considered St. Stanislaus. Get it? St. Stanislaus. So we have a homeless thing and everything. So we have them coming here and people come from all over because of that.
Mhm.
And they
Yeah.
feed them in the parks. Well, they come and get fed in the parks and then they do their business afterwards all over the place.
Yeah,
So
that's
it's like,
great. Lovely.
yeah. So feed them somewhere else.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
Feed them at your place. Stop bringing these nonprofit trucks everywhere. Have them come to you.
yeah, or maybe
They can
just
walk
go
all
to
over. They can walk all over all day long. What's the big deal? Go down for dinner.
Yeah, exactly. I'm with you on that one,
But
man.
they just, and again, 90% of them don't want help. So,
Well, it was funny living in Washington. I talked to a couple who actually sold everything except for their dog and chose to live on the streets of Olympia, Washington, just for no responsibility, no whatever. And I was like, that's really crazy to me. Like, why would you want to do that?
because they don't want any responsibility at all.
That's insane to me. I would go insane without responsibility. I feel like I wouldn't
There are
know.
times I would go, I could give it all up just to walk around and do nothing, but then I would last for like 2 hours.
I was gonna say, like, maybe max a day. I actually had this conversation earlier, recording an episode of my show with another veteran, and we talked about like the transition and 90 days of terminal leave and how you're like ripping your hair out because you just need to go back to work. like I couldn't imagine not having responsibility and just what are you supposed to do? Aimlessly wander the world? That's weird.
Yes, I have a vet right now who just got medically discharged earlier than she thought, and we were going to help her buy a house, and now she's got to get a job. And she's been looking, and it has to, so people understand is when you get out, you have to get a full-time job so we can use the income. It can't be part-time because you have to average part-time income. Yes, she's got the VA benefits plus the go to school benefits, which we can use, but she needs a little bit more to buy the house she wants to buy. And she's been looking for jobs all over the place, and they all want to give her part-time jobs. And she's
Yeah,
got it's hard for her to find her what she wants to do is be a teacher, but she's not there yet. And so everybody else is not. Well, they offer me 30 hours a week guaranteed. I mean, that's still part-time.
it seems like that here too, because my wife has been bouncing from job to job looking for more hours, and it seems like the max she can get right now is 36. Nobody wants to give full time. It's really, really strange. And the weird part is she doesn't need the benefits. So, like, if they're trying to save money on the benefits, well, she can just waive those because she falls under TRICARE with me. So, like, you don't really need them. And I'm kind of biased. I think TRICARE is pretty great for what I pay for it.
Right. No,
You
but
know?
it's just and if we could just make that better.
Yeah. Let's make it better for sure.
Just revamp the whole thing. Get the government out of it. Make it privatized.
Yeah.
They do a better job. I mean, look at the freaking post office. We got to say anything else?
No, you don't. Have you seen their new vehicles, by the way, since you're bringing up the post office?
Mm-mm.
They look weird.
They're the same here. So,
well, so they just like announced the new design and rolled out the first X number like a couple of weeks ago. But I was looking at them, I was like, man, I wonder how many broken windshields we're gonna have to replace because it's like all windshield now.
oh, really?
Oh,
Yeah.
it's weird. It's weird looking. They just kind of modernized the stupid square design, made them a little bit bigger, and gave them a lot more windshield.
Well, they're still better than the old Jeep ones.
Yeah, that's true.
Remember those?
Yeah, I do.
Right-sided drive.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Your firewalk stuff. Did you hook up with Dave Albin for
Yeah,
that?
yeah. That's who's coming again. Yeah. And
That's awesome.
he's bringing Brian, and I can't think of his last name, he sent me a video. He goes, "Can I bring him? I'll get someone to sponsor him." I'm like, "Yeah, sure. I'm not going to say no."
Dude, he was awesome on my show. He's so full of energy and he's so passionate about the firewalk stuff. I was like, dude, like, how can I not come do one of your events?
Yeah, he's good. I just want to grow this, and then so he wants to do no harm, which is different than what I'm trying to do. I mean, we'll talk afterwards.
Sounds good.
Okay. I don't want to say, I'm not that I have anything negative. It's just I'm trying to see how I'm one of those guys, how the things fit. right?
Right.
And I just didn't see it fitting the way that it was I like him because he's so passionate about helping people across the fire, the actual coals, and him talking about that part of it is his wheelhouse.
Oh
And I
yeah.
think, and for me, I was like, he really should. That's what he should just focus on. Forget the trying to put the events on and being the keynote speaker of the event, because that doesn't work. Dude, you are the, let's get you going down this firewalk and get you across these coals 30 minutes before and during that part of it. He's a rock star, and that's what he should focus on. And I think that's and that's what he's going to do for us this year, is because I have so many other people I want to talk and
Yeah.
talk, because I want to turn into not just a 2-hour event plus then the firewalk. I want to turn it into a 4-hour event and have multiple vets talk about what they've been through and how they came out the other side, because that will get other vets to talk about this stuff. Because I've had some vets who came and they're like, Ed, I didn't really know what you're going to do, but it changed my life. Thank you. And, and that's what it's about. It's just changing lives. And the difference this year is my Rotary is responsible for finding 2 vets for, that they have to bring. So that's 7. So that'd be 140 that my Rotary is responsible for to bring to the event.
That's a lot of people.
Well, no, we had both days last year together. We had more than that. This first night was 30%, 40% more than we thought we'd have. And the second night was 30% less because of the rain.
Okay.
Okay. Even though the rain, if you looked at the thing that showed it was going to stop at 3:30 or 4 o'clock and not rain, and we didn't walk till 8, you should have still came. But people were like, oh, it's going to rain. Oh, it just, so.
Damn right.
And I have to have it all put together by the end of October, because I got to start promoting it through Veterans Day everywhere.
Ooh, yeah.
Yeah. So I got a few more days. So by the 15th, I need to have my lineup. So,
Wow.
But I definitely want you there. And part of that, we can talk afterwards about that.
Let's figure it out, brother. However I can help, man. That's what I do on a daily basis, is just try to help people. So
well, I'm just saying, getting the word. I mean, and again, David's Mr. Albert, he's a great resource for what he does. I mean, he's so passionate about, like you said, about the firewalk. And when he brought it to me when he was on my podcast over a year ago, and that's how it got started. I just fought with, I dealt with stuff that other people don't understand you have to deal with when you're trying to put these on, that you can't do it in the city. You got to move it to just the county line, because the county doesn't care. The city cares.
That's stuff I would have never thought about.
Yeah. Well, it took me 4 months fighting with my city, and they were like, there's no way, blah, blah, blah. And then later I find out, there's multiple chiefs and multiple this and multiple that, and they didn't want to set a precedence. And I'm like, well, set a precedence it's for veterans, and the person who is running the firewalk is a 22-year veteran of doing it for Tony Robbins. Set that as a precedence.
That's a good precedence to set, right?
That means there's only going to be my event ever. So I mean, we don't want to set a precedence. Well, and so finally after 4 months, I'm like, talked to a couple of politicians. They go, hey, check with this other place called Richard's Ranch, which was a barn that the dad was building, and he was a veteran. He passed away while he was building it, and the community came together and raised it for his celebration of life. And it was just the perfect location for the first one. And we're doing it again there the same year. I mean, in 2025, May 3rd, 2025. And we're just doing one day, but a longer day. You'll have food for dinner and stuff like that, but it's just want to pack more into one day.
Dude, this is cool, because I want to figure out how to put on an event. I don't even, where did you start? Like, how do you decided to do this event, and then did you start networking with people and just like put it together, or what?
Well, I was the president of my Rotary, so I went to the Ralph Carrasco, who is he was my guy that handles a certain thing, and do you ever heard of a Go High Level?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So when they started, his actual number for it is number 9.
Oh wow.
Yeah, so he's been dealing with them since they started, and he knew everything about it, and he set it up to where we could send it out there, and he had that. And so Dave was already bringing somebody to talk, right? He had the guy Dave Sanderson for us, and so they just had to promote that. And then we had this guy out of San Diego, was an insurance company, and then we had American Weed, and we had a couple other people show up. And for me, it's not the American Weed stuff. it was like, well, it's going to be a family. So what? I don't care. It has nothing to do with anything else. Whatever works for people works. It's not like they're giving out samples, because they're not. Um, I mean, not to everybody. Anyway, I gave mine to Ralph because he's really. I'm like, hey, dude, they handed me this. He goes, oh man, that's like 11 cigarette. Yeah, okay, whatever. And
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't, because I grabbed it and put it, and I was like, God, it stinks so bad.
Yeah.
Anyway, so I mean, and so it just. And then a bunch of my people from Rotary were like, yeah, I'll do the registration. I'll do this. I'll do this. I'll handle this. I just asked people, hey, this is what I need help with. Okay, fine. I hit some people I knew who did catering. And they were like, okay, this is how we want to do it. We don't want to charge you. We want to get everything donated. So can you go see if you can get donated tri-tip and chicken? And so that's what I did. I talked to another person that's in my Rotary, and they had a guy who owned a company for beef. And he's like, yeah, no problem. And so we just put it, and that's why I'm trying to build it to where we can do this nationwide. I want to build it so it goes nationwide, and we do it all, I don't want to say on the same day. Actually, the best day would be Veterans Day, but the problem is it's not always on the, in some places it's too cold.
Right.
Even here it'd be overcast and dreary. So we couldn't do it on Veterans Day, because that would be the perfect day to do it.
Right. And here it might even just be too hot.
November 11th.
Oh yeah, Florida,
Oh,
Central Florida could easily be in the mid 90s. I have no idea what's going to happen. You never know. You just wake up one day and it's cold.
Yes, and we were April 12th and 13th, and like I said, it just rained a little bit on the 13th. So, but I mean, if the way I have it set up now, I'm doing the same Richard Ranch, but if it gets too big, I already talked to the county, and they have a facility that I got to put tents up, and I could do thousands. So
that's awesome, man.
So,
that's
but
really
it's
cool.
about, Dave's like, well, this is like, what was that old concert that people did, Woodstock? He goes, it was in the middle of nowhere, and people flocked to it from all over the country. He goes, that's what we're going to do with Modesto, have it here the first one and have them come back to it. I'm like, that's fine, because we also have Modesto Nuts, who does a baseball thing here. It's a AAA whatever. They're leaving next year. Well, that's a whole stadium that's no one's going to use, that's in the county, that I could actually use for this if we get big enough.
Man, opportunities just presenting themselves because you put yourself out there.
Exactly. Yeah.
I love that. I love it, man.
But I mean, I think you're the right person to get more involved with our stuff, and then we can also work on doing one in your area.
Oh, yeah, dude, let's do it.
Dave's done them, and his fire chief is from, I think he was Pensacola retired fire chief.
Okay, so the Panhandle.
I mean, he's been in Florida where he, and a lot of these guys, Dave does them on his property, wherever the town he's in, and other people do them too. So everybody comes together, does a separate thing also. So,
right.
And like we had one of the guys who came here, that was helping Dave the second night. He's from Sonora, which is not very far. And my guy, Ralph's like, why don't we just get him? I'm like, well, here's the difference. I know for a fact, nobody's going to burn their feet with Dave. That's the difference. I don't want anybody to go, well, there was 5 people who burnt their feet. That's all they're going to focus on, because they stop. Dave won't let you. He walks with you and makes sure. I mean, you can have, 1,000 people. It'd take 30 minutes to get you all through the freaking firewalks. That's how fast it is, like seconds.
Yeah. I remember talking to Dave on my show, and just his whole speaking about how he was one of those people that didn't want to walk, and then he did it and fell in love with it. And then how he really took stock in moving other people through it and sharing in like them overcoming that. And it like, yeah, dude, I want to be a part of this. Like I'd love to do a walk myself, first of all, but then also to just kind of help people do the walk as well, to just share in that moment with them. Cause it's pretty cool when you get out of your own way and you face your fear and you figure out what you're capable of. And yeah, what better way to do it than what you're putting on?
Yeah. Well, you're going to be coming, so you'll be able to do your first walk. It's just
yes,
a matter
of
getting you here. Just a matter of getting you here somehow.
Yeah, that's my birthday week too. So
the birthday week,
well, I assume the 3rd is probably on whatever. Saturday. I'm 6 days later. So
the 3rd is a Saturday.
Okay, so 6 days later.
That would be the following week. Yeah. Well, yeah, I guess you could come out here and then go somewhere out here, because there's a lot of nice places to see out here. So
yeah, I've spent some time not in Modesto, but San Jose several years ago.
You should go to Yosemite. You should go to Yosemite.
Well, it's going to depend on where. Like, I am turning 40, and I don't know. like I have friends that want to make that a big deal. So Vegas has been mentioned a couple of
Well,
times.
then you can just leave from here and go to Vegas, and then I'll meet you there.
Let's go. Let's do it.
Because Vegas, we're going to Vegas this year, November. I'm not going to say when in November because then everybody will show up. But we're renewing our vows after 20 years because we originally eloped to Vegas when I met my wife because we'd been married before and we were just going to, do a little wedding. And her aunt's like, let's put this whole thing together. I'm like, hey, I go to Vegas this time every year. And that was the 6th, is the anniversary of November. And so I'm like, hey, I go to this conference in Vegas. You want to go with me? And we'll just elope. Well, we still had 13 people show up eloping. So yeah.
Well, maybe I'll see you in Vegas in November because I'll be there as well for the nonprofit.
And
then I'll be there. What's that?
What day?
I don't know. Whenever the Olympia is.
No, we're the week of the 6th. We're going to be there.
I think it's after that. And then I'll be there again in January for SHOT Show. That's going to be interesting.
SHOT Show is I would like to see that one. I haven't been there for that.
You should tune in for that one because I think we're going to do an entire week of live podcast from Grey Group Tactical's booth, talking to all the veterans that are there. So that'll be fun.
That sounds like
yeah, dude. That like all of this since November, like of last year, just started building, and like the opportunity that created itself for me, meeting people like you, being invited to come speak, to do the fire walk, getting the nonprofit spot, like all that stuff, like. Because I got out of my own way and like faced my fear and figured out what I was capable of.
Plus, you're focused on this. This is your mission right now.
This is my whole life.
Yeah. I mean, some of us. That's when I said that earlier. We can't put that amount of time in there.
I get it.
Yeah,
I totally get it.
But I mean, that's why trying to find multiple people to do, and that's some of the issues that we have with the companies that are created as nonprofits and other stuff. They're all volunteer organization, and people treat it like a volunteer organization.
Yeah.
And I don't mean it the wrong way, but like Rotary, if I'm going to be the president, I'm doing it freaking amazing. And it was a part-time job for me.
Yeah.
Yes, I could do it like some of these other presidents and phone it in, but that's not who I am.
Well, and it also, really, that's what it comes down to. It's not who you are, and you don't want to do wrong by the people that you're supposed to be leading. Like if you're not going to give it your all, there's somebody out there that will in a volunteer role. And I think that's important to remember. Just because you want the title or the experience, if somebody's better suited for it, you might want to think about giving it up. Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. Adam, I could talk to you for another hour, but I'm sure we got other things to do, and that people won't listen. We're not Joe Rogan.
I know. It's not yet.
You will be. I won't, but you will be someday.
Oh, I think you might be. I think you got a voice for it. I don't necessarily know that my voice is the best.
Your voice is good. Your voice is good. Yes, mine's deeper, but I didn't know that until 2018 when I put in my first set of headphones on in the radio station.
Fair enough.
But
you definitely have the radio voice. That's for sure.
Thanks. And the face.
How do you know what people's face looks like on the radio? We didn't have video back then.
We do now.
Right. Yeah.
No, that's the biggest joke, and the face radio, and it's like some of these people, with the name. I don't know if your old shows is like handsome Joe from walking out. You're handsome Joe. Yeah.
I remember I grew up with the Bob and Tom radio show. I don't know if you've heard of that.
Mm-hmm.
I grew up in Indiana, so they were out of Indiana. But the first time I ever saw them, I was like, "You do not look anything like your voice suggested." I was like, "Oof, that's crazy."
Yeah, well, I mean, I've met some people recently. It's like, wow, I didn't think you'd look like that. And I do a lot of video where and meet people on. So I do a lot of signings now virtual so that I can make the appointments, and we do it all, for refinances, not purchases, but really refinances. And it makes it so much easier, but it's like you can meet, you don't have to go to their office. You don't have to come to your office to do stuff. And it makes it so much nicer, and you can still see everybody through video. So.
Yeah. And it doesn't suck away a bunch of time traveling. I remember we just closed last year on this house, and God, what a process. Show up, wait 45 minutes for them to get all the copies and the paperwork together, sign your name 150 times. get the keys, and then you can go to your house. It's like, you couldn't have just done this like online and let me sign digitally and like just move on.
It's getting there, but the purchases are not fully there yet. So with us, we can only do refinances. Purchases you can't do in California yet. And I think that's okay, because I want them to actually see everything and more, you know what I mean? So if they're going to wire the money, if they're buying their first house, it's important to make sure that it's done right. And so there's not a problem.
Yeah, that's fair. I didn't think about it from that perspective, but I'd bought a house before, so I didn't need somebody to walk me through it because I got taken in the 2008 crash, and I was like, you damn sure better believe I'm going to check all these numbers now.
But I mean, for even my purchases, the signings only as long as it takes you to sign. I mean, it's if you don't have questions, they go fast. And these virtual ones lately, 8 minutes.
Well, that's nice. I guess it depends on the title company you get.
Well, of course it is. It's
Too.
different. Yeah, it's different now. I mean,
Yeah.
you guys are not an escrow state. We're an escrow state, which means you sign. And so for us, when you sign, once they send the paperwork in, it funds, and then they can record. In like Florida and other places, it's you sign and here's your keys and get the hell out of here.
I had to wait for the check to show up, and I had to put money in escrow also.
No, I didn't mean that. I'm talking about when you sign loan documents. When you sign,
we got held up because they were waiting on the wire transfer to come over.
Okay, so that's all right. So that was from your wire from the bank or something.
It was, I think it was the wire from the bank, for funds
or
whatever.
But I mean, there's other places where you sit down and you sign the docs and they go, here's your keys, go get your house. Where if it's an escrow state, it's usually 1 or 2 days after. Well, with us, the way we're set up, because of the company that I deal it through, they're out of Detroit, and they're like, and it's not that one you're thinking of. It's the other number one wholesale lender, not the number one retail pain in the ass that steals everything from you, but we'll move on. And they're not an escrow state. So they're used to just order the wire, fund, and record. And so that we're able to do pretty much the same thing. So if you sign at 8:30, they can order the wire, it'll come by noon, they can record in the afternoon. So you still get it the same day.
Fair enough.
And that's the fastest. People are like, how are you doing that? It's because I'm taking all the bullshit out.
Yeah, right.
Because I can do a VA loan in 9 days, a purchase.
That's cool.
Yeah, and that's just and the only thing we wait on is the appraiser. They have 10 days from the day. So I order it the day that you sign. So they have 10 days to get it in. Well, a lot of good VA appraisers will get in over the weekend.
Yeah.
There's only a couple who are like, it'll be there on the 10th day. It's like, why do you have to be such a jerk? You know, you don't have anything else going on. Just get the damn thing in.
And you're making a stupid amount of money to do the damn appraisal too.
Oh, now it's like $750. It's ridiculous.
That's what I paid. $750. Yeah. Wait, I was like, for what? What did I like for you to tell me the same thing that I already knew?
Yeah, but I mean, they have to do it on VA, and it is not put out to bid on. Like, we have panel appraisers for conventional and all the other things. With VA, it should be, but they have to have special licensing, to do VA appraisals. And so, I mean, so as soon as the, like I said, the appraisals in, we sign docs and you're done. Well, if we get in early, you can't do any faster than 7 days legally. So I
waited 60. Waited 60. Well, it was part of the kind of the offer we put in, save some money on the house. They were trying to avoid some capital gains tax. I was like, I can be cool with that, because you didn't counter my offer. You in fact took less money than you were asking, and you left like a really cool dining room table. So I'm good with waiting,
Right. All right, Adam, I'm going to call it a day.
All right, brother.
Don't run away. But thank you so much for being on the show today. Really appreciate you. How do people find you, and how do people find your podcast?
Yeah, the best way to find me, everything I do, thestrategicveteran.com. It's got the podcast, the community, all my socials. And if you really want to reach out to me on social media, LinkedIn's the best place to do it. Look at me, Adam Peters. That's it.
All right, Adam, thank you so much for being on the show today.
Thanks for having me, brother.
My pleasure.